Welcome to Topline Hotline.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Thirsty Thursday, 13 Thursdays in a row. We've got Topline Hotline. It's your hotline for Topline, where you can call in and get your questions answered on any go-to-market challenge that you may have. We've got questions that we surface from the Pavilion Slack community. We've got questions from the internet. We've got questions from outer space, all of them related to the go-to-market challenges of the modern revenue leader. It's a short segment. It's a quick segment. It's a powerful segment. I'm your host, Sam Jacobs, with my co-hosts, Asad Zaman, CEO of Sales Talent Agency, AJ Bruno, CEO of QuotaPath. Gentlemen, start your engines.
Okay, let's go. So this question is in Slack, but I've also had conversations with about 5 or 6 CROs who've just taken on new roles, and they each asked the same thing, and they actually asked us to talk about this. So basically, from Slack is curious if you have any resources, references, etc., to share regarding an 30, 60, 90-day plan for a new CRO. I've used previous versions, but in this market, I think I need to think differently. And so what should I be thinking about across all of those timelines? And so a little bit more context, I do in talking to those CROs, they're really thinking about the fact that the companies that have hired them have less patience. They need to see impact a lot sooner. People need to move faster. So what does a solid first quarter look like? What should they optimize for? AJ?
Well, because everything's going faster, I do 1, 2-day, and 3-day plans. So that's what I'm get your shit together, CROs.
That's funny. They hire once.
I've never been a huge fan of the 30, 60, 90. And here's why. I don't think they have enough context and understanding to really make those effective on and this is for you said interview process, right?
No, this is you've joined. This is your
you joined.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
All right. Well, then I'll get that out of the way. I don't like them as an interview presentation
Agreed.
because it's like really challenging to understand the context. But in terms of like when you join, critical to have a framework to work backwards from. And I think about the like strategy above the line things that we're doing, and that falls into the 90-day bucket. And then the 30-day tactical of like, here's the things that I just need to observe and understand very fast and make those changes. And here's the things where I'm going to need your help as a CEO to like really get my hands around, and those are going to fall into the 90-day bucket. So the tip, like rather than doing 30, 60, 90, I think of like just like what are the tactical things that I just absolutely have to explode onto the scene with and work and get out of the way, can work with the CEO on that. And what are the things where I like want to make changes, but I don't know if I'm going to be rocking the boat, and I'd love to come in and observe a little bit longer term, work with the CEO on. That's my thinking of, doesn't matter what the day time frame is, whatever falls into those two buckets, and then everything else just throw it in the 60-day. Sam.
Okay. First of all, if you're a member of Pavilion, we have a sample 30, 60, 90-day plan in the Knowledge Hub. I would download that. Second, I would read the book The First 90 Days by Michael Watkins. It is a powerful book and a great book. Third, I would do the following. The biggest mistake that people make, they make 2 big mistakes. The first is, yes, I understand that people are impatient. You should cover this during the interview process, especially if it's a C-suite job. If it's a VP job or a director job, that's one thing. And even though I, in this week's episode, talked about hands-on keyboard and people that are willing to get their hands dirty, if it's a chief job, if it's a C-suite job, I think you need to do a little bit of information gathering before you're expected to make a bunch of, big changes to the organization. So a couple very specific tactics. The first thing I would do is before you start, I would craft a little survey that you could do through SurveyMonkey or through Google Forms. I would survey the executive team and sort of like the key peers across the organization. And then I would survey the team that you're inheriting, ask them a couple simple questions. What do they think is working? What do they think is not working? What are the biggest areas of focus? What would they deem success for you look like? It's really helpful. And that's a data point and a set of research that you can present back to the executive organization itself and say, here's the data that I've gleaned. Another thing I would say is, too many times you're going to get sucked into only talking to internal stakeholders. You're going to talk to the board. You're going to talk to your boss, the CEO. You're going to talk to your peers. You're going to talk to your team. Well, that's not really your job as the CRO or chief customer officer. You got to get out there and talk to customers. So a really big mistake I see people make is that they spend inordinate amounts of time in internal meetings, and part of your job is to present a new perspective on your go-to-market motion. And you can't do that if you're not interested in talking to customers. So the first thing I would do would be do a big customer tour. And again, you can present the results of that customer tour in your first board meeting and say, like, I just met, was on the road. I met with 15 different customers, our biggest customers, some small customers, and here's what I learned. And I think, again, CROs that don't do that, they just fall, there's just a danger that they fall into an echo chamber. Last thing I will say very specifically is you use the 30 days. At the end of the 30 days, present your resource request. So present your 30, 60, 90-day plan, but say, I have a set of resources, but before I finalize that, what I want to do is really understand what's happening within the organization and see if by the end of the 30 days, I feel comfortable with the org chart, if I want to move some pieces around, or if there's specific investments that I think we haven't made that we need to make. And if you tell me that the constraint is it has to be, net $0, meaning anything I ask for, I have to take something away, then I can do that too, but I have to do that at the end of 30 days. So a resource request at the end of 30 days also demonstrates, I think, back to the organization, especially the CEO, that hiring a C-suite person is an investment in a function. It's not just the salary that you're paying that person. So those are a few of my
Sam,
best practices.
Phenomenal answer. Really good answer. One
Thanks.
thing I'm going to add,
Thanks,
the
AJ.
survey up front, really important. Don't forget to survey on the end of the 90 days. Understand what's changed. And that's really helpful. And then report that back and present that back as well.
I mean, there are probably some quick wins, and Michael Watkins talks about in the book, The First 90 Days, how you need to put a few quick wins on, but don't get frantic. You still are supposed to be a C-level function. It's supposed to be a long-term plan. So look for a few quick wins. Maybe it's like you're not asking this question during discovery, or you haven't even put in medic or something like that. But I think really it's about information gathering and intelligence gathering and orienting the overall direction in the right way.
And on the other side of that, it's about expectation setting and making sure this is what I'm going to go do, and actually going and doing it. So you're proving those things.
Yeah.
Less things is better. I agree with you on that. Don't boil the ocean.
Final thing I would say is I understand that you need a job, but you really do need to understand the math of the business, the unit economics, and because you're going to be inheriting a plan, most likely. You need to understand how realistic is that plan. Typically, the way that it works for an early stage C-suite executive is the first board meeting is great because, it's the 3 envelopes thing that AJ talked about a couple months ago. Second board meeting is still okay. Third board meeting is when the hockey stick and the revenue plan comes. And that's when you say, oops, the pipeline isn't quite there the way I thought it would be. And then by the 4th board meeting, you're fired. So be careful.
Sam, have you given this advice to people before? You know all this shit. That was a great answer. It's like, you do this. I have follow-up questions, actually. So at what point within the first 90 days do you have to have an intimate understanding of the KPIs? Or the key metrics of the business, of how the machine works? Like, at what point do you think the person needs to
I would say
day
out? 60. I would say in the middle part. I mean, I think learning the business should take some time. What do you think, AJ?
No, you're not going to know all of the mechanics, the institutional knowledge that the organization has built up. You're a CRO. You're probably coming in at stage 3, stage 4. You're not going to know all of the things, and so you want to be credible and present the data in a credible way, and so that people don't tune you out. 60 sounds right.
All right, folks.
The only thing I would add is understand your competitive landscape before joining the company. So before day one, you should understand what the competitive landscape looks like. That's it.
This has been another great episode of Topline Hotline. I'm running to record a different podcast, and so I must leave everybody. We love you. Give us 5 stars. AJ, Asad, and Sam say goodbye. Today's Monday, November 13th. Therefore, tomorrow is Elevate GTM, a virtual event that we're hosting with Winning by Design and GTM partners to talk about the new GTM consortium. I'm sure there's other great stuff happening, but I got to run. Love you all.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Topline Hotline.